Hello and welcome to another edition of Scarves and Spikes. Sydney, Tyler, and Tommy with you, whether you're watching via live stream. Hello to you if you are. Or if you're listening to our podcast on the Atlanta Soccer Podcast Network. Thank you so much for being with us. Tyler and Tommy, what is up?
How are you?
What's going on?
Doing great. Doing great. A little situation here. I didn't tell you guys this before the show, but a little situation here in my apartment. By the way, a little personal note. This is my last show from this location. I'm actually moving.
I like that little bit of pause where it was like, this is my last show.
Yes. Yes. Got to keep the people hooked. But yes, I'm moving apartments. I'll still be in the Atlanta area, but I am moving apartments as of Saturday. So I was doing this on Wednesday, so Saturday I'm moving. And the apartment above me had a water leak.
Oh no.
So fortunately it wasn't like a ton of water or anything like that, but had to get that taken care of. So maintenance has been kind of in and out of here over the past couple of days. Other than that, nothing too major. I mean, my debit card number got stolen last week when I was out of town. So
wow, dude.
So, getting it from all sides here, but could be worse. Could be worse. But yeah, welcome.
Still breathing, and we still have a pretty cool podcast. So here we are.
Right. Absolutely. Tommy, you're awful quiet. What's on your mind?
I don't know. I'm just kind of waking up.
It's
been a long week. It's been a long week. But I was thinking about the game was on Saturday. It feels like 3 weeks ago. Like it just feels forever. I don't know. The season's flying by. Like when I was looking at the standings and just seeing how far we've gotten into the season already, I'm like, it's gonna be summer by the time we know it. And it's great.
Yeah.
Summer transfer window.
I know. Match week 9 already. Sunday against Toronto. Or not Toronto. That's the last match. Chicago, the Chicago Fire is what I meant. 4:30 kickoff. Well, like 4:55 or something like that, since it's on FS1. But as always, it's on LS Season Pass. But this is match also on FS1, so you have a couple of options there. And of course, we'll talk about it as we go along. Of course, the chat is open. You guys are awful quiet in the chat. I hope you're alive. I hope you're awake.
I know, right? Where are at?
Yes. Please chat. Please engage with us and let us know that you are there. I know the Continental Classico is going on right now. I believe that it's what a 7 p.m. kickoff. What time is that?
I don't think so.
It's in Arizona.
I want to say it's 10
o'clock tonight.
10 o'clock tonight. Okay, so again, if you're listening to the podcast, it's probably old news. But Caleb Weiler, of course, got called up to the U.S. men's national team for the Continental Classico, which is not at all a blatant cash grab by Soccer United marketing between the United States and Mexico. They would never do that. They would never do that. This is a legitimate match. Not at all a cash grab. Not at all. Not at all. Absolutely not.
Mark, Bruno, we see you. What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? But Caleb's over there in Arizona. And again, if you're watching the live stream, that is at 10 p.m. Eastern time on the podcast. Again, old news, but hopefully no one gets hurt. And
spoiler, we win. U.S. wins.
We better win.
I hear that Mexico is kind of bringing their not their A team, but they're a pretty sturdy team, as they kind of want to do. The United States is kind of not as sturdy. Not a lot of overseas players, if any. We'll see if Caleb gets in. And again, I don't know how much the tickets were. I imagine they're pretty expensive, all things considered. But
Mark, I'm with you. I'm with a good old fashioned Dos Acero.
Dos Acero. Hey,
I'll take it.
I'm for it. We'll talk about Caleb a little bit later on too. A little bit of housekeeping note. If you are a patron, thank you so much for being a patron. If you're not, join us on patreon.com/scarves and spikes, starting at $5 a month for the high five tier or the club level tier at $10 a month. Absolutely. What's that, Tommy? Just kind of like a clap or killing a gnat with your hands, or
you said high five thing.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, didn't quite register.
I was trying to do.
I got it, Tommy.
Okay, didn't quite register with me at first. But yeah,
Bruno, quick answer to your question. They're in Glendale, Arizona.
Glendale, Arizona. Yes, but at State Farm Stadium, by the way, not to be confused with State Farm Arena. But yeah, patreon.com/scarves and spikes. We will we of course had our Zoom watch party out. That was great. We all three were there, guys, and really enjoyed it. The result, of course, was not the one we wanted, but thank you for everyone that joined us. Our patrons had a really good turnout. Again, we're gonna be doing this probably every month. So if you want in on that, go to what's up.
I was just thinking, every month. I don't know if Tyler's liver can handle.
Slow it down a little bit next time around.
We went rough. We started bringing alcohol out. And everybody started talking about drinks, and we did some shots. And I think I got called out for doing quote unquote lady shots. I was told because I was drinking fuzzy navels or a version of it, I guess. But
I did shots of H2O. That was my drink of choice for tonight.
But we got to talk about real quick behind the scenes here. So Tyler and I, Sydney, I think you were doing things for MLS. Mm-hmm. So Tyler and I were on Spaces, and Tyler was going night towards the end of Spaces there.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a long day, and that last drink caught up with me.
And when I drink, I talk more, so I wouldn't shut up. And I'm like, oh my god, like I'm over talking Tyler, give him a moment, and I was like, I gotta go, and he was like, just wrap it up, man. And he called it a night.
Yeah, but
fun time though. It was good. And,
it was great,
and we had giveaways. So congrats to Kevin and Tim on winning some stuff.
Absolutely.
And, we got some more stuff coming too. So
yeah, again, patreon.com/scarves and spikes. If you want in on that, of course, all the other benefits that we offer as well. That chat or that link is in the chat. Also, for patrons only, we are doing an interview with, let me get his name again, Jake Silic from the Cup.us with U.S. Open Cup. Not starting, but U.S. Open Cup is here. MLS teams are entering beginning next week. And letting that, of course, one of the other, they'll be taking on Memphis 901 in the Stephen Glass Derby. So we'll be doing, so we'll be recording an interview with Jake Silic from the Cup.us, which covers everything U.S. Open Cup, and that interview will be available to our patrons only. So again, patreon.com/scarves and spikes, and
for those of y'all that don't know, real quick, Mark, Action at the Fraction, can't wait to get that hashtag going again. The Cup.us, they're as far as I know, the only outlet that has full coverage of the Open Cup.
Yep.
And they've been going since like 2003. So the guys that do it, they do an outstanding job. They know the rules of that, the cup, like the back of their hand. It is kind of wild. So it'll be some good insight before the match next week. And as far as the match next week is concerned, from a Scarves and Spikes standpoint, I'm actually going to be covering that match for the Cup.us as well. So be a little extra plug for the podcast there. So we're moving up in the world.
Absolutely.
And our recording schedule might be a little bit different next week. We'll figure it out and get it out there.
Yeah. But again, that interview with Jake Silic will be available to our patrons. Again, as always, the live stream is live. Live stream is free every week on Wednesdays. Player radio shows free every Sunday or Monday, whenever it comes out. But this interview with Jake will be patrons only. So patreon.com/scarves and spikes. Also like and subscribe on YouTube. I've gotten out all the plugs. Shall we talk about Toronto?
Toronto it is. Where do we start? The third minute when Giacomakis decided to, was it the third minute? I think.
It was early.
Whatever. It was early and it was great.
Fourth minute, I feel.
Yeah.
Third or fourth.
It was a great way to start the watch along with everybody screaming.
Yeah.
But getting a start, getting another goal. The guy's killing it. What else can you say about him?
I mean, he does everything for you right now. He's very physical, and sometimes that causes some issues, which I'm sure we'll get to his possible injury and his status. But he does everything you want. He's big. He's a presence on the field. Teams can't really cover him. He's able to physically get himself away from some of these defenders. The only thing is he's just not too fast. Like, I think that's really the only complaint is he's not a very fast guy, but I don't think that's needed in this. And he's proven that you don't have to be very fast. And even with that, even with him not being fast, he was offside like 13 times in his first start. But I mean, he's what we wanted, and this is what the club needed. They needed a win here because you're replacing your franchise player, and the next guy coming in had to be the guy. And right now, he's the guy.
Yeah, I'm always hesitant. I know what you mean, Tommy. I'm always hesitant to say replaced, considering the impact that Joseph had on Atlanta United. But yeah, like we said, 4 starts, 4 goals. What more can you ask for? I mean, you could argue one of those matches he could have had another goal, but he certainly kept up his end of the bargain. And I was reading somewhere, I forget where it was, but it was talking about, again, this new type of player that Atlanta United want to bring in, a player that really matches up to their analytical, not background, but yeah, analytical makeup that they have in mind, just sort of the metrics that they look for. Maybe where they're more apt to sign a young player from overseas or in South America, let them develop and sell them for a profit. Now it seems like that kind of mantra is not completely gone. I don't think they'll be completely gone, but you'll see Atlanta United start to look at these players that are maybe coming up in the prime of their careers and bring him in, kind of like Giakoumakis. He's had tremendous success in Holland. He's had tremendous success in Scotland, and it looks like at least from now it's carried over. He had a hamstring, of course, unfortunately, that forced him off. Fortunately, he did train on Wednesday today. I'll talk about it a little bit later on, but it doesn't seem like it's a major injury there, but hopefully it doesn't turn out to be anything serious and he'll be ready to go for Chicago. But yeah, so far so good for Giakoumakis, and hopefully it continues.
Hamstring, right? Yeah, hamstring injury. I thought it was his groin because it seemed like a couple games before he was grabbing his groin a lot and like trying to adjust it. And like he's not like trying to hide it either. Like he's just up in there. And so then when I saw it, like when he was hurting, he was like grabbing like below that area, and I wasn't sure what it was. And then it came out that it was the hamstring, and I don't know which one's technically the better one to have here. But if he's just had a little bit of a pull, then it sounds like there's potential that he could be back this week, or at least make an appearance. And at least what we've seen so far from this Atlanta United team and Pineda, they're not going to risk it for one game, no matter what. And that's why Araujo did not play.
Almada.
I'm sorry, Almada. Yeah. Some people might say Araujo doesn't play that much, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. No, we can't go that far. But yeah, Almada, and that it's not a big worry if he doesn't play this weekend. But I do like that they're being safe about this in the month of April.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump in real quick, and sorry, Tyler. Chicago, I mean, aren't a very good team. I mean, they led 2-0 in Philly, or against Philly, I should say, before losing that lead. So I feel like they could win without him. I'd be more comfortable with him on the field because what he can offer the team. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know if we'll see if Pineda is willing to put him out there, considering that hamstring. But yeah, there's just my 2 cents. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think also you got to remember you have the Open Cup in the middle of the week. So now again, you're playing Memphis 901. You're also playing against a goalkeeper who does not like Atlanta and never has. We'll get to that comment. Bill Hamid. So yeah, but he's one that just for some reason has Atlanta's number. So as Pineda, if you're playing Pineda, and you guys jump in the chat too, but do you go ahead and push and get the 3 points you hope with Giakoumakis on the field this weekend? Or do you rely on Almada, who is also back training, like you said, Tommy, to come in, do his stuff? Hope Araujo has a good game. Hope Miguel Berry, finally makes his mark in the starting 11, and then leave Giakoumakis for Memphis, or bench him completely until the next weekend? Or do you let him play? Let him hop in the middle of the week. What do you think?
Henry brings up an excellent point in the chat, saying that Giakoumakis probably doesn't play the Open Cup. And to that point, Henry, thank you so much. Henry from Dirty South Soccer, of course. To that point, of course, there's a limit to international players who can play the Open Cup. And I'm sure we'll talk to Jake about that during the interview, Patriots Only episode. A limit of 5 international players who can play in the Open Cup. So that's going to be at the back of Pineda's mind. Don't have the list in front of me of international players, but I imagine Almada is going to be out there. One of those players, of course. Your midfield, Sosa, Ibarra, José, possibly. I think one of them has a green card. I could be mistaken.
I think José has a green card, and then you also got to think you got Hernandez as well, because he played in the first. I say the first round. It's the first MLS round last year against Chattanooga. He actually scored a goal in that one as well. So, he kind of tends to get forgotten about, but he's there. So,
we'll talk about the Open Cup next week. But a question about Almada. Bruno has a question about Almada. Is it a good idea to have Almada play Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday? And no, that's an excellent point. Again, not to get too much on the Open Cup. But there's that possibility that he does rest Wednesday. And that's always the challenge, right, for coaches. How do you prioritize these matches now that fixture congestion is about to really kick in? Because, you have Chicago on Sunday, you have Memphis on Wednesday, and then you have Nashville on Saturday. So how does Pineda kind of balance that, especially with Almada having that knock, with Giakoumakis having that knock? Gutman, too, as he kind of works back to match fitness. What do you do with him? So, again, a lot of moving pieces to the puzzle. Again, not to talk too much about the Open Cup, but
we're here, baby. We're already here.
Exactly.
We've already hit that. We've already passed that train. We're here.
Yeah, but Sunday, immediate attention is on Sunday, and what does Pineda do? Keeping in mind, you have another match on Wednesday, then again on Saturday. So
it's worth pointing out too, because again, we are here. We're talking about it. You don't want to be the MLS team that goes and ends up on the receiving end of the cup set, the famous cup set, because they're already happening this year. Of course, MLS teams haven't gotten in yet, but you've had plenty of lower division teams take out, some USL teams to this point already. And Memphis 901, who Atlanta's playing, they struggled in the match that they played. They ended up winning 2-1 against a USL League One team, Knoxville, after extra time. So it was a struggle for them, and they haven't been playing well, unfortunately. I feel bad for Glassy, but if you're Atlanta, you're looking at that, and you're looking at kind of maybe you can take advantage of this and really, really not have to worry about using your guys as much as you might have to. But it's a fine balance, because you don't want to be that team that gets destroyed by a lower tier team.
Right.
So, it's always in the back of your mind. But going back to Giakoumakis, and Almada, they can't. I don't think you look at them playing all three between the next week, because you have Sunday, Wednesday, and then Saturday.
Yep.
That's quick turnaround. So I think Almada, I would imagine, would play the 2 league games, and then you rest him for the Open Cup, considering the way Memphis is playing.
Yeah.
As far as which one Giakoumakis plays, I don't know. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see how. I think this is the first time this season that I've been really intrigued to see how Pineda throws out his starting 11, because I think up until this point, it's been more or less a fairly easy guess. There haven't really been any curveballs that have been thrown. And now, now you got a little bit of injuries coming in. You got little issues here and there. You got congestion. So what do you do as Pineda? So I'm really curious. I'm really curious about the next week.
Yeah.
And I think we got to take a step back here for a minute. If you didn't know what happened with Almada, he did travel with the team. He did go to Toronto. We can't confirm if he had poutine or not. However, they said that they brought him along to monitor his status on his health, which is still weird to me. Like you could stay home and not hop on a plane, relax, get your rehab that you need, and be ready for the following week. But they decided to bring him along, and people were curious on what that was, but they held him out, and I think that was a smart move. And I thought overall the midfield did a very good job to start. There really wasn't too many problems. I think Sosa, if there was a problem, it was probably a little bit of Sosa, and I think we talked about that in the spaces, that the midfield, while it wasn't terrible, it lacked the aggression that you have in Ibarra's soul that he brings onto other players from the other team, right? Like it just didn't seem like we had a bite to us from here. And I think the only bite that we really had was Giakoumakis. He goes down, and now you don't have anybody. There's really nobody here. And that's why we've been saying since, the winter, Ozzy Alonso would be a perfect person to be able to bring on in a situation like that where, maybe Ibarra is in trouble at the end of a game. He's on a yellow, and or maybe you just need to bring an extra person out defensive minded. That's what Ozzy Alonso's for. And I think that was probably one of the worst parts of the second half, because I thought Sosa was not very good, specifically in the second half.
Yeah, and you talk about that bite a little bit. I actually felt like from about the end of the first half, and then obviously, the injury to Giakoumakis happened very early in the second half. You move forward up until the moment, to me, when Machop Chol and Andrew Gutman came on, the team just was kind of floundering. And even then, you get the goal from Machop. Gutman comes on, provides you a spark of energy that was great to see. And it was great seeing him play in that position, which is definitely a little different considering who all was on the pitch. The guy is a Swiss Army knife in a lot of ways. So it was nice to see him get back out there and make an impact immediately. I mean, he provides essentially the secondary assist on that second goal. And, but yeah, you could tell that there was just nobody there to take control to help close the game out. And that's where you're missing an Ozzy Alonso. And it's worth pointing out, he's back training. Almada back training. And Sam Jones pointed out today that Giakoumakis, obviously we've already mentioned that Giakoumakis is back training, but he also talked about how in the beginning he was kind of taking it gingerly. And then by the end of the training session, Giakoumakis is out there doing, super high intensity, like explosive lateral movements and everything else. So, I mean, I don't think all is lost going forward, but going back to the match, you got to, I think, give credit for the individual players and some of the things that they've did. Like, again, Gutman, big deal. Chop, everything he's done this season, I've been impressed with. He's so confident on the ball. But yeah, I think Sosa, you need him to have a little more grit to him. And I wonder if it's a fitness thing. I don't know, but you just so frustrating because it's such a missed opportunity to get those 3 points.
Yeah. Think about Chop too, and again, really happy to see him get that goal. You got to think maybe he moves up even more the pecking order, right? I mean, right now, of course, it's Giakoumakis, then Barry, but if Chop can kind of come in and string together some good form and really build off his performance and his goal scored in Toronto, you have to think that maybe Miguel's kind of looking behind his shoulder a little bit as far as that backup striker is concerned. And I know we're kind of half joking about it, but I mean, Chop kind of gives you that height. I mean, and Britta asked in the chat, put Chol over Barry. Probably too early to do that right now, but again, if he can string together some good form and build off of that goal in Toronto, because he certainly has good height, and like I said, I mean, you can't teach height. That's how the old cliche goes. But
so yeah,
he can put it together. Like I said, Miguel's kind of on the outside looking in, probably.
Yeah, see, I'm on the put my chop in
right now
mindset. But yeah, I think so, because not just the goal from this week, but if you look at everything he's done in the little bit of time that he's been in. You go back to a couple of weeks ago at the Benz when he came on as a sub, and like I see some people in the chat saying, like T Riddle, I know you're pointing out, he just chop moves really awkward. And I agree because he's like 7 feet tall, I think, partially, but no, I think last year and the year before there was very much an awkward, like baby deer kind of movement to Machop Chol. And he's gotten past that, though. I think he's gotten so much more confident on the ball. He's learned in his own way at how tall he is to be more confident moving forward on the ball, and his movement is better. Now you've seen him play as a winger, you've seen him play as a number 9, and you've seen him play as a number 10, an attacking midfielder last week. And so he can be put anywhere up in that front 4 or 5, really, and make a difference. But I mean, he's got the goal too. So I think you just go with the hot hand.
If we're going with the hot hand, then I think that person would be one Eric Robinson Lopez. I made his middle name up. I don't know.
I was waiting for the middle name.
I didn't know. I was trying to think of something clever, and that's what came to my mind. Eric Lopez, baby.
How many goals does he have for the twos?
Is it 3?
It's 2, but still.
I thought it was 3.
Is it 3? He didn't get a brace, did he?
No,
I gotta go check between now and the.
Zilf will know. It'll be in the chat in like seconds. So maybe
we're moments away from it.
It's Eric. Oh, everybody's coming up with middle names.
Nicolas Lopez Samaniego.
Oh, there you go. Mark saying 2 more than Barry has. So
yeah,
let Eric Cook. I actually have a friend named Eric Cook, so that's weird that they came up.
Wow.
There,
but hey, but it's not a bad shout though. Like, you know, if we're talking about guys that have put the ball in the back of the net, I want Miguel Berry to succeed because I do think he's got it in him. But right now, he just hasn't contributed. And unfortunately, it looks a lot like how Joseph did last year, where he's out there, but he's just not making an impact. And I think that can be changed, but he's had his opportunities. We talk about Jackson Conway. Jackson Conway had his opportunities. Every secondary striker that Atlanta United has ever had their opportunities. Kubo, you know, like all these guys, they were there and they had plenty of time and they just could not capitalize. You get a guy like Giakoumakis that comes in and he just wheels the ball in the back of the net at times. You know, he's not happy. Like, I mean, out of his own mouth, he's not happy if he doesn't score, and he finds a way to hit the back of the net no matter what. And there's just something about that mindset that's just, you can't teach it.
Yeah,
I'm okay with Eric Lopez starting or at least appearing in that game. You know, that's what that is for, is to get some other players in. And Pineda respects. We talked about this last season. Open Cup is huge for Pineda. I believe he won it as a coach, assistant coach, and he won it as a player. And Seattle always respected that tournament. He's respected that tournament. He has said he respects it. So I expect him to put out at least a good lineup to start. I mean, Arujo, I think, had a real beautiful goal in the Open Cup last year. So I expect them to do that. And then you bring in some of these other guys. I mean, depending on what Giakoumakis' health is. But, like, if Barry can't score in this Open Cup game or at least look dangerous, I'm really nervous at that point on what it is. And Mike Conti said, was it last week, right? Like, if he had a position, he might want to add a little bit more depth to the striker position. And I think we see why. Like you said, Barry's had his opportunities and just hasn't been able to do it. So that's something maybe in the next transfer window, if the Barry experiment is still not there, then you look for someone else.
He had a string of good form with Columbus a couple years back, but just hasn't been able to replicate. So, you know, like you said, Tommy, let's see what happens in the Open Cup against a USL opponent who you should beat. And then I think how he does, like fair, tells the story.
It's still early.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think you do have some playing around to do for sure, because you got, like, I think everybody 6 months ago, if we had this conversation, would be thinking it was a joke. But, like, Eric Lopez is a legitimate option to move up and play as that backup striker because he's, I don't know, again, level of competition is different 100% between MLS and Next Pro. However, he's hitting the back of the net. He's playing with confidence. So let him push Barry a little bit. Let Chop push Barry a little bit. Let that competition go and see what happens.
And even with that, though, like you thinking long term, if you play Eric and he's been doing well in Next Pro, you could possibly increase the value of him. Maybe have someone, take him after this. And I know there's certain people that are very upset with me for just even saying possibly about getting rid of Eric Lopez, but the cap situation and really what happens with Almada in the offseason or in the summer possibly is going to really change how Atlanta United is, depending on what they want to do with, the DP process. Do you want 3 normal DPs, a young DP, all of that? Because you've filled all your U22 spots up. So you're going to have to figure out what you want to do here. And I think that Seattle's never been afraid of using all 3 of their DPs as, no youngins here. They just want, the top talent possible. And that's right. That's a winning thing. Well, because the U22 spots are kind of just lottery tickets, right? Like a lot of these guys, you don't really know. You know that they have skill and they're up and coming, but are they going to produce? And a lot of people really haven't, across the league, a lot of these U22s haven't really turned into much. And who would have thought Eric or that Franco Ibarra would be our best one at this point, right? Like that is nowhere where we thought we would be last year. We were like, Sosa come back. He's going to be the guy. Doesn't come back, comes back for a little bit. And now he's just, again, maybe it's just because he hasn't played a lot, but he's just seems very mediocre, I think is the word. And where Ibarra is definitely having an impact on every single game. And again, preseason, we never would have thought we would have been saying this. This is still a shock to me.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. I eat crow all day, I guess.
Another player that is a talking point, we talked about him on Sunday during the radio show, is Luis Araujo. And I don't know how much time we want to spend on him because, again, we talked about it Sunday, but Tim saying, need to see Araujo make some more progress. He's done some nice stuff, needs consistency. And then Zilf saying, let Araujo score 5 on Memphis to get his confidence up. And kind of tongue in cheek to Zilf's point, but yeah, hopefully, and I won't relive my kind of mini rant from Sunday, but yeah, however much he's getting paid, you want to see that much more of a return than you're getting. I'm looking at Espinosa for San Jose, makes over, I think, just over $1 million, and his production has been really off the charts, and it's really helped San Jose get to a good position, a much stronger position than they've been in the last several years, with Luchi Gonzalez coming in. But he makes far less than Luis Araujo, and the production is much more than we've seen from Luis Araujo. So again, I won't retread what I said on Sunday, but no, I absolutely agree with what Tim's saying.
Let me ask you this, just to, I don't know, I'm not trying to blow up the chat here with this either, but
let's blow the chat up. No, let's do it.
I'm genuinely curious. What do you do? And somebody's going to have the one answer. I'm just waiting for it in the chat. What do you do with Araujo to make him be more of a factor in a game consistently? How do you change that? Is it a coaching thing? Is it a formation thing? Is it, I mean, what do you do? Is it a sports psychologist thing?
I mean, it's tough to say. And I mentioned it on Sunday. It's kind of a similar situation with the Union. Gosh, what's his name again?
There it was. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for somebody to type in the word bench. Brian said sit him.
They sit him. No, I don't think he sit him. But yeah, certain players respond differently to certain things, and maybe it takes. And we talked about Araujo kind of talking to from Pineda in preseason. But Carranza, going back to the Union real quick, Carranza, Curtin said, he was terrible in the first half against Chicago and responded. He said, look, Carranza needs to respond every single match. He's a designated player. He's a striker. He's expected to score goals. He had a brace against Atlas in the Champions League. And Curtin essentially said he did nothing in the first half against the Fire. He came in and scored the equalizer and to help them draw level with Chicago. So, again, like I said, players respond differently. Carranza knew that kick in the pants, apparently, from Curtin in the first half during the team talk in the locker room, and it worked. I don't know if our original needs the same thing. I don't think setting him is the answer, but at the same time, Pineda, T. Riddle say you need to make him drink before a game.
Calm the nerves, man. I'm here.
Yeah. No, but Pineda's been clear, essentially saying, if you show me you deserve to be out there, I'll play you. Doesn't matter how much money you make. Doesn't matter where you are in the depth chart. Justin saying he needs competition. Maybe he does. Maybe he does need a player out there to really push him and come behind him and challenge him, because you're paying way too much money. You paid way too much money for him to really be just okay. It's not to say it was bad against Toronto. He wasn't great. He was good, but you need him to be better than good. So
I'll object for there's a few people that love Araju, and I gave it a shout out to James on Monday when we recorded the ratings that he posted a video of every single one of his touches, and it's amazing how many touches he actually had because he doesn't really stick out on the field. And I think that's one of the things, like specifically, like there's certain players in MLS, and a lot of them are DPs that while you're watching it, like you just know when he's got the ball, right? Like we had players like that. Tito Villalba was a big one. Even, Barco sometimes had that because you knew he was going to get fouled in 5 seconds. But we'll get to that later. But like defensively, he does a very good job. He's an all-around guy. He comes at back. He helps on the defense. Great. Had a great cross that ended up leading to a goal. Great. The problem is on a lot of the touches is that he just doesn't seem to have that move to get past players. And especially lately, like early, that quarter season that he played a couple seasons ago, he had that move. He was getting around people. He was blowing by them. And whether it's, teams are learning how to, cover him a little bit more. I mean, speed is success in MLS. Speedy guys do work, except Xherdan Damm. However, we had to get the name in there. It just doesn't seem like he could create a lot of things for himself. And I think that's really what's missed here. And a lot of times, and what a lot of people complain about is that he runs it like you constantly just expect that moment when he's getting really close to the defender. He's going to do some type of move to get by him and then get a chance at scoring. He just runs into the guy and just gets immediately taken, and then there's a counter. And I think that's the biggest issue here. And yeah, well, he's getting blasted a lot, and we've been blasting him, and Twitter's been like that too. Like you said, Sydney, it's with how this league works and everything, it is frustrating. And unfortunately, you have to take these certain roster spots and fill it with the best players possible. Yeah. And right now, he's just not playing to that level. And we're stuck with him at least until the summer, right? Like there's been interest in him in the whole preseason. Articles were coming out everywhere, unless one of our listeners made all these fake news stories, which he would never do to try to boost up value here. But, he's got time to prove himself, right? Like, and that's what people are saying. Some people are still saying give him time and see what he can do. He's got some time here. He's staying here at least until the summer. And if not, and if you can keep, and I said this in the ratings, if you can keep Almada for the rest of the season, which is a huge thing still, like that is that's possible, but unlikely. But if you can keep him, I think that you have to move on from Araujo and get another guy in here and go win yourself a championship this year.
Yeah.
So I'll answer my own question with this because, and I'll throw this because Bruno brought up a good point in the chat too. 4 months ago, we were all thinking this year was middle of the table, and now Atlanta's fighting for the top. They would be. It's so frustrating. They would be top of the table in the East right now had they not dropped these 4 points from the same freaking team, which is so frustrating. My experiment, if I was in charge 2 matches, I would take Etienne and Araujo and just swap them. I would make Araujo more of a playmaker on the left-hand side, allow him the freedom to drift inside to the middle like he likes to do, because the left foot, he's got a cannon with it as long as he doesn't send it over the crossbar. But that left-hand side has always forced him to be more of a playmaker, to hit guys like Giakoumakis, to hit guys like Chop. He did so great in this goal against Toronto where he got the assist because he had plenty of time to stop, set up on his preferred foot, and send in a beautiful ball. If you put him on the left, he's always using that left foot as a playmaker foot, not a I'm going to score a golazo foot. Etienne, I think, can play on the right-hand side as well. He didn't have the best game. I mean, I think if you were to ask him, he would tell you, I didn't have the best game against Toronto. And that's fine because I thought he did really well against New York. I mean, he got called offside a couple of times, got screwed out of a goal. You're not going to have a perfect 10 every game. But I think stick him on the right, see what he does, swap him up a little bit, and just see if it opens up a little more for the attack going forward, a little bit of unpredictability. Because the times when Araujo has played on the left, the times when he's drifted over to the left and then back over to the right and kind of done like a weird, I'm going to play where I want to kind of thing, he's actually been effective. Maybe not as a goal scorer, but he's gotten plenty of assists doing it. So that's my 2 cents. I would like to see a little bit of a change.
They do that, though, a lot during the match. Like, you'll see them flip-flop here and there. And I don't know if I've seen that much of an effect from it. But, I mean, you got to try something, right? I mean, if it's not working, like, Etienne's not, like, perfect on what he's doing right now. So I think making a change and seeing if it works isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. So there's our Araujo bit for the week.
Yes. I got some positive and negative feedback from what I said, so it's gonna kind of get it out. Real quick, do we want to touch on training? We mentioned Giakoumakis was back. Ozzy's been out there. Almada's been out there. Ibarra is out there after serving a suspension. Tyler, you kind of mentioned it. Sam was saying that Giakoumakis was a little bit gingerly, walking a little bit gingerly early on, but eventually kicked up the intensity. So good to see. Almada as well, good to see him out there. Doesn't look like it's a major injury to him, just a knock. Ozzy, of course, really good to see Ozzy back out there. Hopefully he's not long for a return. And then, of course, Ibarra is out there in training. Something interesting, too, Xherdan is on an exercise spike. So I don't know if that's just a regular part of his training regimen while he gets back from this injury. But it's progress.
He doesn't rest. That man does not rest.
He's trying to get back out there like in 2 weeks. He wants to be back out there so bad. And for what it's worth, because we didn't hit on this, we'll hit on it real quick. Quentin Westberg, I said it the week before, like he was going to be fine. You can't really put the goals on Quentin. You give up 2. I just don't think you can hang either one of those on Quentin. It was the defense. You're playing a weird kind of formation at the end of a game to try to see it out. Clearly it didn't work the way you wanted it to, but I mean, I thought Quentin did a pretty good job. Now, short of maybe some distribution like we talked about in our show the other day. T. Riddle, no, he didn't. I thought Quentin did fine. I don't think any goalkeeper that Atlanta has right now would have made a difference in this match, personally. It's my 2 cents.
Diop.
Diop. I think
he has a higher rating in FIFA. He has a higher rating in FIFA.
Westberg is the guy until further notice.
Xherdan retired in my franchise on FIFA.
Really?
And yeah, he retired that first season, and I still had Westberg and Diop, and he had the better stats. So that means it's right. I'm right. So you're welcome.
100%. You're right. Yes, I like it.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I agree. Westberg was good. Had a phenomenal save in the first half. But yeah, it looks like he's the guy moving forward. But Gazan again on the XR bike, and I don't know, who knows? We kind of joked about it, but maybe Gazan does come back ahead of Steno. We'll see. But like I said, Tyler, he just doesn't give up. He's tough.
Yeah,
and he's gonna be want to get out there as soon as possible. He's miserable when he's not on the field. He said so. One person who was not at training, and for a very good reason, segue, is
beautiful segue. I like it.
One Caleb Wiley, and Wiley, of course, we mentioned it at the top. Is that the non-cash grab U.S. Mexico derby called the All-State Continental Classico. And I kind of joked around about it, but I mean, it's a glorified friendly, and it's a way for Som and All-State to make money.
Oh, this is right up there with the AmFam Cup. What are you, talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a real rivalry, though. Like that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it's a real rivalry, and these two teams may face each other in the Nations League and the Gold Cup this summer. But as far as outside of that, with the World Cup being on North American soil in 2026, they won't need to qualify. So I can understand why U.S. Soccer and Mexican Federation and SOM, who put this together, I can understand why that is, just to get them play against each other. And like I said, it's for money. Essentially, it's a sponsorship opportunity for All-State. But yeah, good to see it either way. Wiley getting out there and getting that national team exposure with other players, and that can't do anything but help his development. I don't know how much he'll play. I imagine he may not play that much if he does at all, but still, the fact he is training with, the national team players, like I'll name them off. Your Serginho Dest's, Julian Gressel will be there. Walter Zimmerman, Yashek Moore, Kellen Costa, Jordan Morris, Brandon Vasquez, guys like that. He'll have the opportunity to train with them. He has to have the opportunity to train with them. Yeah, this will be old news for the podcast listeners, but still, again, great to see Caleb out there and getting that exposure, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt, as T. Riddle says. Hope Wiley makes it back healthy for Sunday. So, yeah, if he does play, fingers crossed that he comes back.
And he's going to be gone for about 2 to 3 weeks, right?
Yeah,
and for the
U20 World Cup, yeah.
Yeah,
it's coming up May 20th, I think, is when it starts, and then it goes till June 11th. So you got a string of games right there that he's going to miss.
Will officially be in Argentina, by the way. That was announced a few days back.
What a way to get into the freaking U20 World Cup, by the way.
Yeah.
You didn't even qualify. You're on the verge of literally firing your head coach, and then all this crap goes down in Indonesia. So you're like, hey, we'll take it so we can automatically get in. Like, what's so cheap. But it should be fun. I'm glad for everybody that's been able to take part in it because of everything that happened with COVID before and all. So it's a great opportunity for Caleb. It'll be exciting to see him hopefully play a big part in it. But yeah, tonight, I mean, going back to Mexico, it's been 2019 since the U.S. has lost to Mexico, which is wild to me. So hopefully that doesn't end tonight. But like you said earlier, Mexico is not bringing a full strength squad either.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got, I think it's like all but 2 players are Liga MX players.
Mm.
The one big one is going to be Julian Araujo, who is with Barcelona B right now. So that's kind of like the big name that's going to get thrown out as maybe a difference maker depending on how much time he gets. But I think we're just talking about Atlanta. You just got to hope that Caleb gets some amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. Get him some exposure, get him under the bright lights of television. So, but yeah, 2019, I didn't realize it was 2019, the last time US or Mexico beat US. Colonel saying, mark my words, he may start tonight. If not, he will get minutes. Hopefully he does get minutes. I don't know if he'll start Colonel, but maybe he gets some run out in the second half. It could be that Anthony Hudson will just put out as many players as possible just to get their feet wet. But it's on TBS, Telemundo, Universo, HBO Max, Peacock, so a lot of ways to watch.
Is it on every network possible? I think you just need every streaming service. Did you say HBO Max?
Yeah, HBO Max and Peacock.
Oh,
yeah.
I was joking. I forgot it was on there probably too.
Yeah.
Dang it. Did you say Showtime? Showtime anywhere?
Cinemax. Cinemax too. The movie channel will also be streaming it.
It's on Cinemax, so it's US After Dark.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of ways to watch. But yeah, best wishes to Caleb, best wishes to the US, and hopefully no one gets hurt.
And you got to remember, even if he doesn't play, the experience he gets just from being in that camp is valuable, especially getting ready to go to this World Cup. But 100%, congratulations to him, first of all. But it's a big deal, whether he plays or not. I think he will get time. I agree with Colonel. I think he'll get some time, but whether he does or doesn't, it's still a super valuable experience for him.
Yeah,
I had a flashback to you defending Almada like the entire winter. Like, as long as he's there, he's there for the experience, and that's what matters. Like, just straight flashback to just everybody on Twitter saying, "Oh, Almada's just a bench guy." Now we're doing the same thing about Caleb.
Yeah,
Caleb's
gonna make us a lot of money, guys. Caleb's gonna make us a lot of money eventually. Like, I think the money maybe we thought we might make on Bello, like it's gonna be way more. 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's going to be a
good show.
I may be going high, but I'm going to say like close to 6.
That's
not incredibly high, but
billion.
Billion. Hey, let's go.
It'd be great, but probably not. But no, I mean that's possible. I mean, if he can keep up this form, I can certainly see Atlanta United get a good return for him.
Yep.
But yeah, good on Caleb for getting out there, and hopefully again he doesn't get hurt. We mentioned Eric Lopez earlier, and Eric Lopez is with Atlanta United 2, and Atlanta United 2 played on Sunday against Orlando City B, and they won 3-1.
They did win. Should have been 3-0. They got robbed. The last second garbage penalty. We're going a tangent.
Those 3 points.
It was crap. It was a crap penalty. Yes, 3 points still. First win for the Twos in MLS Next Pro, which is a big deal for them. First win from Steve Cook, who's the new head coach. So big deal for him. Shout out to the team because they just looked dominant. Before we've mentioned it on the show a little bit, the past couple of matches, the intro matches that they've had, they would play a good half of soccer and then they would play a really bad half. They just couldn't keep it kind of consistent. But this past weekend, they were the dominant team the whole way around. They took the game. Now, again, they're at home, but they took the game to Orlando's B squad, and they did well, and they won.
Yeah, 6 shots on target to Orlando's 3. So Orlando's keeper was busy. But we went to Lopez, scored a penalty, and then assisted on Firmino's goal right before the half. Firmino scored in the 56th minute to give himself a brace. And then Tyler, as you mentioned, Orlando City wanted a late penalty. Acuna ended the shutout. But yeah, good to see the Twos get in the win column. And Steve Cook, as you mentioned, getting that first win. Good to see him. Cook, of course, as we've mentioned before, part of Seattle's setup out there, the academy, and quite a few names have come out of Seattle's academy. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how the Twos will look as Cook really begins to put his imprint on them. No doubt we'll be playing more academy guys, as is tradition, as is common with the Twos. So let's just see who else comes up. Tyler Young was a name that LA United did a feature on not a couple of weeks ago, but a few days ago. So that's a name. Not an academy player, but a college player, draftee, I believe. Yeah, 36 overall pick.
Yep.
So that's up on MLS. Yeah, that's up on LandingUnited.com for you to take a look at. But yeah, interesting to see what Steve Cook does with this side, considering his background with Seattle.
You know, the twos are fun to watch. I've enjoyed it, and I think I knocked the league a little bit because of their logo and just how it's
yeah.
They do the back of the names of the jerseys and the numbers as that font. Whose decision was this? It is my rant every time I watch this. It's me screaming at the sky. But like, I want to find that font in like Word, and then just like write an entire document and like send it to Are you
gonna have it like with Clippy, little Clippy guy, right there next to it?
It is so obnoxious. Like I would never be able to buy anything with that font.
Yeah, I feel like their whole marketing team, like all of MLS, was just like, hey, all the interns go to that office and just come up with a new league and go with it. By the way, we're only giving you a Windows 98 computer to do it with. Go figure it out.
Tommy's going to pull a Dan Gilbert, owner of the Cavs. Remember when LeBron left for Miami and Gilbert pretty much ranted at Comic Sans on the Cavs website?
Yeah.
It's so bad. Like I don't know. Every time I see it, I get so upset.
Yeah.
But that's why. Does anyone know why there's some games that are on Apple and some games that are on the MLS Next website?
That's a good question.
I don't know the reasoning. The good thing is
it seems silly.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous because I know Apple's not struggling for bandwidth or anything, but I mean, yeah, I don't know the reasoning. But the good thing is you can watch all of them. For those that don't know, if you have Apple, I think maybe that's part of it too. They do want to open some up for people that don't quite have the Apple subscription, but I don't know that MLS Next Pro is going to be drawing a whole bunch of people in to come, watch it. So I don't know, but whatever.
Yeah.
Are you guys happy with Apple? I don't even know if this is a conversation. I know we
just brought that in like we're sitting down for.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I was just looking at our topics that we're going over, and we really don't. I mean, I know we've got like 30 minutes left, but like I think this could be kind of like a quick, just in general here, and then maybe do a Patreon episode of how much we hate or love it. But like in general, like, are you happy with the experience?
It's funny.
I know it went down this weekend. I know it went down, and I'm sure Bo's brought it up on Twitter. I've seen it at least 3 or 4 times, and he's gonna probably already putting it in there. But when it's working, are you happy with the product?
Yeah, I was gonna say there was an article that was written by someone from Philly. I'm trying to find the link right now, but pretty much was going in on MLS Season Pass and listing all the reasons why it wasn't a good idea, and part of it was a good points, but it was essentially the opinion article, and I disagreed with a good portion of it. Yes, if you're at a match, you're not going to be able to watch MLS 360. You're not going to be able to watch other matches, things like that. But I feel like part of it is the person that was writing it from an American standpoint, U.S. standpoint. You got to remember, this is available around the world. So same thing, we're watching it in the States. Someone's watching in England. Someone's watching in Africa, Australia, New Zealand, wherever, available globally. And this is, I feel like, a good thing for MLS because it exposes them to so many different markets. And again, not to spend too much time on it, but again, I can't find the link. I'll share it in the chat. If I find it, I'll post it probably in the podcast notes. Let me put it live on a podcast on the Atlanta Soccer Podcast Network, by the way. So search that in your podcasters plug. But yeah, I'm happy with it.
So my quick answer is I would not go back to the prior way to watch Atlanta United by any means. And I like it. I think I'll probably echo what a lot of people, maybe their sentiment is. My only issue is they promised all this content, right? Through the week.
Yeah.
And things that you could kind of use to fill in your time. And it very much feels like MLS is sitting on an island on Saturday where that is your time to watch MLS. The rest of the week, because I'll try to sit down and watch like the preview things for Atlanta and stuff like that. And the 360 show I'm not knocking on it, but it's just not my thing. I just don't really care for it. The wrap up, actually, I tend to sometimes go back and watch that just to kind of get an idea what happened in the other games. But for when the matches are going on, I don't really care what other teams are doing at the time. I'm not watching them. I'm watching Atlanta United. Mm-hmm. So to me, the wrap up show has more value.
Yeah.
I think you need a broader time of games. And I understand why they do it the way they do it, but you really got to have like a Friday game, a few games spread out on Saturday, a few games spread out on Sunday, and then maybe a Monday game. That's just how I feel.
That's gonna be a tough sell in the NFL season with Monday Night Football.
That's true.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing is just like right now. It feels like you wait all week to watch. Like, first of all, you can only watch like maybe 3 games fully live because of the fact that they're only on in the certain time slots, and then that's it. That's all you get. That's all the MLS you get. But unless you go back and watch the 360 show or you go back and watch the individual matches, that's it. So I think in that sense, it just kind of becomes out of sight, out of mind for people through the rest of the week.
Exactly. I mean, as I say, this is the least amount of MLS I've watched. And like, it's kind of like how you look at like the NBA and the NHL when they're on like local TV. What do they do with that? They pick the same teams over and over to put on national TV. And so like you're going to be watching LAFC, you're going to be watching the Galaxy, Seattle, Atlanta. Like that's what they're going to do is they're going to keep showing those games at the different time slot. And personally, every time, like, well, right now it's only been one, but like when Atlanta played Charlotte, absolutely loved it. I got to watch Charlotte in the afternoon, come home, relax for a little bit. And then I just sat down and I just watched all the other games, just kind of flip back and forth. But right, like if you follow your team, if you're going to the match, you're hosting a Spaces after the game, you don't really get to watch anything else besides your team play. And after I see the scores, I don't really care besides just going back and watching some highlights. So I'm hoping they might change that around a little bit and add a couple more time slots throughout the time, because even during college, like if college football saves their biggest games for the night usually. So you're going to be, this goes through college football season. So if there's a big game on there, especially down in SEC country, and there's a lot of MLS teams in that area, people aren't going to watch. And I'd be curious, like what they feel is a success is how many viewers are watching week to week, because I see that going down during college football because it's all in that prime time slot.
Yeah, it was never going to be perfect in year one, but I would like to think that Apple and MLS will get their head together and say, okay, how can we make this better? What worked in year one? What didn't work in year one? And I imagine that they're listening. Justin mentioning the LAFC match, El Tráfico. Yeah, really, really good game there. Really tense ending. Maybe that's something that MLS needs to think about more Sunday games. We'll see that with Atlanta on Sunday. So, yeah, interested to see what everyone thinks. I mean, if you're watching this after the fact, or if you're watching this listening on the podcast, just tweet us at Scars, the letter N Spikes, or just leave a comment below the video and let us know what you think. But certainly a lot of ways you can skin a cat here. Mark saying Friday 7:30, Saturday 4:30, 7:30, 10 o'clock windows, and then 4:30 7:30 windows on Sunday. So yeah, again, I'd like to think that MLS and Apple will kind of take a look and see strong points from this package in year one and sort of the weak points. And Colonel saying, yeah, next week we get Sunday. Yeah, absolutely. So Saturday will be open for LA United fans and Chicago fans to pretty much maybe explore MLS season pass and see what they have been missing, essentially.
And then the next week we're on local TV too, right?
So against Nashville, I believe, yes, as on Big Fox. Yep. So looking ahead on Big Fox, of course, on MLS season pass. Only thing about Fox at FS1, they did not send announcers to the matches, which is they haven't been doing that in the past due to COVID. But yeah, the investment isn't there on Fox as far, unfortunately. But yeah, that's where we stand right now.
Live,
of course,
from Fort Lauderdale or wherever
yeah,
they have
exactly
their thing at.
Exactly. So yeah, a lot of ways MLS can approach this, Apple can approach this. So, yeah, we'll see what happens after
Yeah,
the season.
my last 2 cents on it, because I see it popped up too. Josh and then Justin agreeing with him, but Josh saying, "I love the Apple coverage. I love being able to hear Jason and Mike."
Yeah.
100%. The coverage itself, I think, has been great. I haven't had an issue. Of course, we all knew. I mean, you go back to when Kevin Egan was on the show right before everything started, and he was like, "There's going to be hiccups."
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's to be expected. You're not going to get away from that. But I think the quality that you're getting, as far as the camera quality, the announcers are good. I mean, they're all experienced announcers. Some of them maybe, I don't like as much, probably used to certain announcers, but that's just part of it. But yeah, I think that part is good. To me, it's just the timing, the time slots and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if there are any changes made in 2024, if any. But not perfect, but certainly arguably a lot better than what it was with Underbelly. I'm sure a lot of people will agree with that. Speaking of Sunday, that's when Atlanta United play, where he mentioned it against Chicago. And so we'll talk about that, obviously. Chicago, they are coming off a 2-2 draw against the Philadelphia Union. And the thing with Fire, they led that match at 2-0 at one point. So right now, 2 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. Not a great team. I wouldn't call them a great team. Not a bad team either.
I mean,
I don't know.
They're mediocre, I think.
Mediocre.
I think Atlanta has to win this one.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any reason that they should not win this one and honestly keep a clean sheet, I think.
Yeah.
You're back at home. The roster aside, in terms of injuries and who starts, maybe that's the one kind of variable that we're just not going to be sure about. But Chicago's just not playing great. They can be scored on, and they can be scored on fairly easily. And you've got goal scorers in this team right now who should be able to take advantage of that. So I think you have the potential of going in on Chicago and making another statement win. But you got to get, whatever you do, you have to get the 3 points, because you pissed away the last 3, unfortunately. And I get it. It is what it is. It's still a good result. It was on the road, whatever. It just feels like a loss because it was so late.
Yeah, 2 points dropped.
Yeah. So it is what it is, but you have to get the 3 here. It's not a good team. They're not in good form. Yes, they hung 2 on Philly. Philly has been a little open as well. They're not, maybe in the form that they were, but they've also dealing with Champions League. So just you have to take advantage of this. Have to.
Chicago have to know to blow leads too this season. So
two blown leads.
Yeah. So maybe that's something to watch out for. I mean, granted, Atlanta have as well. Maybe not quite to the extent that Chicago have. They led 3-1 against Cincinnati going into the final 10 minutes of the match, and they ended up drawing 3-3. They gave a looking it up right now, they gave a 2-0 lead back to Inter Miami. They allowed Inter Miami to score twice, once right before the half, and then again in the 76th minute before Kai Kamara eventually won it for Chicago on the road. Of course, against Philly at home, led 2-0, gave up 2 goals in quick succession right after the 60-minute mark, the hour mark. So this is a team that have struggled to hold leads at different points of the season, and that is an issue that's really upset Ezra Henderson, their head coach. And Henderson has been very blunt about the need for this team to really play, keep a strong mentality for all 90 minutes, essentially. He's been very honest about that, very clear about that. So that's something that's certainly on the back of Chicago's minds. They have a young keeper, Chris Brady, who has been, I want to say, untested. I don't want to say he's sort of the model that Gaga Slonina was, but here's another young keeper that's come through Chicago's academy and is looking to get himself to a point where possibly he can get his alt move overseas like Slonina did. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. He's had youth international experience as part of the U20 team, so I'm sure he'll be at the U20 World Cup with Caleb. But yeah, this is not Tyler. You said it, not a really good team. Again, their psyche is a little shaky from having blown leads. So Atlanta United coming back home, they'll have to win. They need to win this match, and we'll talk about predictions and lineups. But not a must win, but one that you'll feel very bad about yourself if you don't win this match.
Yeah, and I'll throw it out there, Justin. Yeah, Philly. I get my started on a rant on Philly, but yeah, Colonel saying let's not give them a lead to blow. 100%.
Exactly.
You got to come out and play your game against them.
Yeah,
and
keep playing home too.
Yeah, just like you did against Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Go out, play your game, and don't let up ever. Like run them into the ground because you can. You can do that with this team. And JBG saying 100% don't sleep on Chicago. I remember being embarrassed by them a few times. I do too. Thankfully, it's been a little bit of time since that happened. Atlanta did well against them last year. So, like, recent history anyway is in Atlanta's favor.
Oh, yeah.
I think again, with the way they're playing, you've got to come out and you've got to make a statement here.
Yeah, Mark talking about that 4-1 win.
Yeah,
the time Atlanta scored 4 against them last year.
Back when Cisneros had his hat trick.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're 100% a team that you need to look at this as 3 points. Don't sleep on them. 100%. You don't sleep on any team in MLS, but you got to win this one.
Hopefully, we don't get a repeat of Miles Robinson last year against Chicago too.
So yeah,
kind of have to look at that.
Weird timings too. It was very weird timing right after Guzan got hurt.
Yeah.
And then it's all coming back. You got to make Mercedes-Benz a fortress, right? Like that's what Felipe has tweeted over and over and over, that Mercedes-Benz is no longer a fortress. Nobody's scared to play there. Players will still tell you it's different. They still say the atmosphere is absolutely crazy. So I don't really follow that narrative, but you still have to win, though. You have to win at home. You're playing. We said this before. When was the last home game? Portland?
Red Bulls.
Yeah. So, I mean, you go back to the Portland game. That's the team where like they were down, injured. You knew you were better than them. You went in and you destroyed them. Red Bulls game, you knew what you were going to go into. You knew you were going to go into a battle. They stepped up and they won there. This is something that they have to win, and they have to. I think they need to win it convincingly, and I think they do. And just early ahead time, it's going to be 4-0 Atlanta.
Okay, so we're diving in like that.
I just had to get it out there. I was on a roll. It just was gonna fly. I didn't even think about what my prediction was, but I talked myself into it and said, "I'm going there."
That is bold. I want to give mine, but do we want to talk about lineups first? I mean, we may as well get it out of the way because I imagine it's going to be a tough selection from Renata, as we already mentioned. With
keep the continuity. Let's do our predictions real quick. That way we're all together here, and then we can.
My bad.
Oh no,
I jumped ahead.
Come on, Tommy.
Coming in hot with the 4-0. I'll give you mine. I think 3-0.
Don't do it.
3-1. 3-1.
All right.
I think Atlanta United wins this one. It probably won't be a blowout because MLS is a parity league. Parity, by the way, not Parody. But yeah.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is.
I mean, that's I'm not arguing with you there. But yeah, it's a league of parity, and I think sometimes what you expect a result to be doesn't always match up that way. Then again, I think Atlanta United does win this match 3-1 in decently comfortable fashion, and they will hopefully remain undefeated at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah, I would much rather it be a 3-1 win where the one comes as a very, very, very late consolation goal. As opposed to Chicago gets on the board first, and then you got to have a heart attack for 45 minutes until Atlanta plays.
Right.
But yeah, parity. not purity. 100% is a big part of this league. Mark saying 5-0. I'm here for it. T Riddle 4-2. Tim 3-1. Justin 2-2 draw.
Boo, Justin.
And then Tim adding in that Parada scores. That's a good shout, actually, because he is due for one at this point.
Yeah. We shall see.
Yeah.
He was onside. He
was. So was Yakima. Well, yes, all that.
That play too.
Edgar 1-0. Good guys.
No, Edgar, we don't need anything boring. We need some. We need to have fun. We need to have fun.
I want to see an annihilation by Atlanta. I would just want to see them go out and destroy a team again, like they did Portland.
Yeah,
Edgar's talking about 2022 nice. Atlanta United, not 2023 Atlanta United. That's what we would get in 2022. If we got a 1, it would be a 1-0 win and snoring. Yeah. Ooh, Lennon will score, but Parada and Gutman are due for one. Gutman is due.
I can see either of those scenarios, like either Parada or Gutman. To be honest with you,
also throwing out the 5-0 Atlanta.
Yeah, a lot of bold predictions.
Yeah,
but yeah, tweet us yours at Scarves, Letter, and Spikes, or leave in the comments when we go off the air. But yeah, I'm kind of working out the not predictions, but the potential lineups for Sunday, given what we already talked about, given kind of that two of your top players have knots, and given that you have Open Cup on Wednesday, also given that you can only play 5 international players at any given time. Well, you can only play 5 international players on your roster, I should say. I think the big question: do you start Yako on Sunday? Do you start Amada on Sunday, or save them and keeping an eye on Nashville next week?
Tommy, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Amada starts this week and next weekend. In the middle of the week, you start Sadich in a spot like what we saw last week. I think you keep Sadich in on Wednesday and you go with a little lighter of a lineup. But to MLS, you got to start breaking up these points. This team should be at the top of the table. They are not. When an opportunity strikes here, especially against an easier team, you hope that you're up early. If you're up 2-0 or 3-0 early, then you can go and maybe sit some of these guys, and maybe you can make a decision a little bit more, maybe to possibly have them start during the week. But Nashville's a game that is, they've got circled, right? Like Nashville and them, it's becoming a rivalry. They're back in the East. Like that's very important. And I know that's going to be huge for them. So I think if anything, Pineda is going to want to try to just play his starters, hope that it goes well, and then be able to not have to rely on some of these guys, and just start a mixed lineup in the middle of the week and go from there.
And Mark, thank you for the reminder. There's no longer an international limit on US Open Cup, so forget what I said about that. But yeah, that's one thing that Pineda doesn't have to worry about is, okay, how do I kind of manage not international players and international players? I think we may not see Almada in the Open Cup just because it's a quote-unquote lesser opponent. That being said, Stephen Glass coming back to Atlanta, and he knows pretty much kind of the tendencies of Atlanta. He knows the ins and outs of Atlanta, and in the back of his mind, he'll be looking to get a win, obviously. But yeah, I think if I am Pineda, pretty much first choice lineup on Sunday. I think Giakoumakis and Almada will be healthy enough to play. Luis and Etienne on the wings. Say Joseto Ibarra in your midfield, Goodman, Miles, Prato Lennon, your back line, and Westberg as your keeper. So essentially first choice minus Gazan, of course. But yeah, I think Wednesday's your rest day. Kind of put in your second team players essentially, and then maybe run out your first team players, considering kind of think about what the match state is. So keep that in mind. So I don't think they'll get too much time on Wednesday, but you may see one or two of them go out there and
I think for me, I think you play Almada this match. I don't think you're going to have to worry about him. If I were Pineda and I were in his shoes, only knowing what I know, I don't know anything else. Obviously, he has a lot more information, but I would actually not start Yakimakis. I would actually stick Machop Chol up there personally. Let him go on and have Yako.
I say leave it from Wednesday though. I say wait till Wednesday.
Maybe, but I think Barry could do well on Wednesday as well. But you have Yako available to come on late. Or Lopez, yeah. I just don't think you want to push an injury that soon, knowing what you saw his reaction to be that day.
Yeah.
Punching the ground like that. When he first went down, when we were on our watch along, and we were like, oh, he's done. And you're just kind of waiting for the worst news. And it's not the worst news, but you don't want to push it either. So I don't think you're going to have problem scoring goals without him against Chicago because they have been leaky. I just don't want to push him harder than you need to. And then the other question is on Chicago side, and this is going to change things up as well, is do you have Shaqiri back available to start? And do you have Kasper Shabilko back? He's been available. They've both been available. Shaqiri played a little bit in the last match, but if they start, then I think you're having just a little bit of a different conversation in terms of how you handle their attack. So there's just a lot of variables in this one. I think this is really the first true man management test of the season so far.
Barry scares me.
Hopefully the men will be managed well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Sunday. Because man, I hate to lose that match. Man, oh man.
Man,
or nothing.
I'm just using the word man a lot.
I don't want to lose any of the next 3 matches, especially. You can't lose against Chicago because you need to beat them. They're not a good team. Yeah. You absolutely cannot lose the Open Cup match because then, God, we'll never hear the end of that. And then Nashville, I just want them to shut up. Like, they're not they're just annoying. Their whole fan base is annoying. And it's not like they had done anything to really prove anything. They just have pulled away a couple of lucky wins.
It's a Nashville thing, baby. It's a Nashville thing.
Yeah.
Their hockey team's obnoxious. It's just how they are.
Just like the street on the main walk up there, Honky Tonk Highway at 10 o'clock at night. It's just annoying.
I threw up on that street once, so we'll not talk about that street too much.
We may leave that for a Patreon only episode.
Tommy threw up in Nashville.
Tommy threw up in Nashville. $10 only tier. Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, I mentioned Patreon again. I've been mentioning it a lot tonight. On patreon.com/scarves and spikes, we are doing an interview with Jake Sillick of the Cup.us, which covers US Open Cup year in and year out tremendously. So that's only available to our patrons. Again, patreon.com/scarves and spikes. Follow us, like us, and subscribe on YouTube if you're not already. Follow me at Space Rights. Tyler's at ATL Pilgrim. Tyler's at ATL Pilgrim. Tommy is at Tommy ATL 96. Again, I'm at SH Rights. We collectively as a podcast are on Scarves, Leather, and Spikes. You can listen to the show anytime it's a podcast on the Atlanta Soccer Podcast Network, as well as our good friends at
Five Straight Final
with Sam and Joe on the Atlanta Soccer Podcast Network. Again, do not type Dirty South Soccer. It does not work anymore. Atlanta Soccer Podcast Network is the new name of the network. So, have I missed anything, Tyler, Tommy?
No. We'll throw one other little Patreon bit out there. We're working on it. Not 100% finalized, but I figure we can give you guys a teaser because he said he would do it. But we're going to try to do something special with DJ EU again for the Patreons that may or may not involve some music, I'm sure, obviously. So keep an ear out for that. And if you haven't joined Patreon already, make sure you do it.
Working on another guest or two as well.
Yeah.
In the early stages, but hopefully we'll be able to announce that very shortly. So stay tuned, as we say in the business, and we will announce that in short order once we get that finalized. But like I said, I think that's it. Tyler, any final thoughts?
Nothing for me. Tommy, you got anything?
Eric Lopez, baby, let's go. Where in the world was Eric Lopez? Was like one of the first things I think we said on one of the first shows was, where is he? He's going to be in the starting lineup this Sunday.
I hope you're right so badly.
Against Chicago?
I don't. I hope I'm not right. The bit has gone too far if I'm right.
Yeah. We're in a whole different conversation if you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, for Tyler, Tommy, I'm Sydney. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening, by the way, as well.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you next time. Take care.